You're live. Go for it, guys.
All right, cool. So first off, I would just want to say one love and God bless to everybody. I'm the one and only hip hop gamer, Hot 97. Logitech G is going down. So today we're going to talk about how we're going to identify our career path to gaming. So this is going to be exciting. I got to spin the chain on that. We got an incredible panel. So we're going to break everything down. So before we start, I got a crazy video, impactful, powerful video to run so y'all can see this from the one and only Brooklyn Borough President, the one and only again, Eric Adams. Roll that.
Hello, I'm Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams. I thank you for joining us today as we address civic engagement and discuss ways of identifying traditional career paths in the realm of gaming. During my time as Borough President, I have prioritized the importance of STEAM education and financial literacy. This webinar is directly tied to both of these concepts. This is an opportunity to discuss how engagement in esports can utilize skill sets you already have to change your economic future and inspire thoughts about non-traditional career paths. The ongoing pandemic has made it necessary for many students and young adults to shift their educational pursuit to virtual platforms. This is making an already tech-savvy generation even more skilled in their use of technology. In addition, gaming has also become an increasingly significant part of today's world. The gaming industry is now larger than the global movie and music industries combined. Top sports athletes, famous musicians, and even the world's top investors have all joined in the gaming phenomenon. And many of you are probably interested in exploring your own opportunity within this fast-growing industry. Now, you'll have the chance to learn from talented professionals working in the industry and understand how they're using gaming to drive growth for their brands. You'll hear directly how they got started and how you too can pursue new career paths through community gaming. So have fun, learn a lot, and hopefully do more with your newfound knowledge. I now turn the evening over to our moderator, Brooklyn's very own hip-hop gamer. Enjoy.
I'm gonna tell y'all right now, we living in crazy times, COVID, you already know what it is, so we had technical difficulties. But what I can say is that Eric Adams will be here on the actual webinar, so he'll be able to speak to you, more candidly, and we'll get some questions answered. So forgive us, but now we're going to kick it off because we got some amazing people, and I'm about to introduce these amazing people so you know the impact that we want to make with y'all today. So first off, I got to give a lot of love to the one and only Miss Kate Edwards. She is a 27-year veteran and an outspoken, multiple award-winning advocate of the game industry and the executive director of the Global Game Jam, as well as the former executive director of the International Game Developers Association. Very, very important. She is also a professional geographer and corporate strategist who pioneered and specializes in content culturalization. Yeah, I said that right. Good. Following 13 years at Microsoft, she has consulted on many game and non-game projects from BioWare, Ubisoft, Lego, Google, Amazon, Facebook, and many other companies. I give to y'all Kay Edwards.
Thank you.
Let's go.
It's awesome to be here. Thank you so much.
That's what I'm talking about. Gotta get the energy right since the video ain't work right. So so next up, we got Eleague. Parsley, if I said the name wrong, you know I love you, my brother. It's be all good. So Eleague is the co-founder at Brooklyn, an esports video game and tabletop venue located in Brooklyn, New York. That's where I'm from too. You know what I'm saying? Got to spin the belt on that. Well, spin the chain. So before starting this new space, Eleague was director of marketing for Better Social, when he built tools and partnerships for internet creators spanning multiple platforms. So everybody in the chat, show your love for the one and only Eleague Parsley. Let's go.
That's the best intro I've ever had. I'm gonna easily.
No doubt. And last but definitely not least, we got Anthony Scholar in the building. He is the current collegiate lead for Evil Geniuses. If you're a hardcore gamer, esports, you're trying to make it, this is somebody that you definitely need to speak with. In that role, he is responsible for the strategic ideation, implementation, and management of their internship program. Additionally, he is working to establish meaningful partnerships across the United States and the collegiate and youth markets. Previously, Anthony had led project management and business development for esports programs at both the high school and collegiate levels. I give to you none other Evil Geniuses' own Anthony Scholar.
Oh,
let's
man.
go, baby.
Hip hop, dude. Like, I put a couple extra dollars back in your pocket. How can I get that on just a loop? And I'm gonna have that set as my alarm to wake me up and jump out of bed every single morning, dude. Like, you got me ready to run through a wall introing us like that. But
let's go, baby. That's what I'm talking
pleasure
about.
to be here, man. Absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Not always, man. So this is how we're gonna set it off. We gotta do this right. We gotta make it up, for the for the people that's here. So quickly, here's what I want to do. Quick esports 101. What is esports and how big is it? Period. So Kate, since I introduced you first, I'll let you take it. But quick esports 101. What is esports and how big is it?
Well, basically, it's essentially watching people play video games. If you want to put it really simply, where people video games take a tremendous amount of skill, as we know, and it's gotten to the point where there's an infrastructure now in place, which to me, that's what esports is. We've always had expert game players. I mean, I'm old. I grew up in the arcade era, so in high school we were in the arcade every day after school, or sometimes during school. Yep. And and we had amazing players back then, but there was no infrastructure for really not much for competition or anything like that. But today, they basically kind of leverage some of the aspects of professional sports, the athletic sports, and have created a system so that if you're good at video games, you actually have a platform. You can, basically train up and compete, and you've got followers and groupies and, a huge willing audience who wants to watch you play. And that's essentially, to me, that's the real basics of esports.
Amazing. Thank you so much, superstar. So next up, Eleague, obviously the same question. How big is esports, especially in your position and what you do, over at Brooklyn? Like, how has esports impacted you so audiences can understand where this is going?
Of course, yeah. I mean, in terms of like a global scale, I think the numbers are approaching like over 500 million, worldwide, like dedicated esports fans. Obviously, the number of gamers, I think logs over like 2 billion across the planet. So, I mean, that's just growing, compounding, especially with, just the accessibility that so many companies are trying to bring to the table and just kind of open up gaming to everyone, like as it should be. I mean, I think the biggest part, kind of piggybacking off what Kate said is, the organization and kind of how everything comes together. It's also a lot about that community, right? Esports and gaming has one of the strongest communities by far none of any organized anything. I think that's what makes it, so great. And you just see like the rapid fandom. And I think that's kind of the most incredible part. And then also, like Kate mentioned, the organization. So everything behind it, from everyone behind the scenes, from production to operations, kind of how that all gets woven into this big, beautiful thing.
Amazing, bro. Yo, listen. So like I said, last but not least, you know what I'm talking about? Yo, Ant, talk to me, son. And I definitely want your take on this, because being with Evil Geniuses, it comes with a status. Like there's a certain status that come with that brand name. It's been built up a certain way. So what is esports and how big is it, especially coming from the realm, of Evil Geniuses? Break it down for me.
Yeah, without a doubt, man. And Kate and Alec did such a great job, I think, of setting the baseline and the benchmark truly of what this space is inclusive of and encompassed within. And for Evil Geniuses specifically, right? Like, you want to talk about how big is this space really? And the reality is that my specific job at Evil Geniuses, being the collegiate lead, it didn't exist a year ago. It didn't even exist 3 months ago, 6 months ago,
Wow.
right? There's new opportunities popping up in the market every single day because people are identifying the fact that there's a need to be met right now. And on the overall large scale of what we do at EG, right? Like, yes, we inhabit that massive, awesome, such a cool opportunity and space within the professional side of the business. But, you introed me, man, like, it as well as I do. I've been at the high school level. I've done it collegiately. And what we are in need of right now in this space is people from the top of that pyramid, the EGs of the world, to start to push more content and opportunity back down that funnel. We want it to be bigger, right? Like we talked about it the other day when we were catching up, man. Like, it's for me and for EG in this space, it's that 2-pronged path to pro, right? Everybody is focused on, how do I become the next Ninja or the next Jizuke or the next Bang? But the reality is it's getting big to the point that we want you as an intern now. We want you to have the educational opportunities. We want you to have the academic resources from the time that you're young, coming up through high school into college, to be an asset to this industry and be able to get involved. You can have a legit full-time job in this market now in many traditional fields, business analyst, data scientist, computer science, engineering, all these things, which these roles didn't exist in this capacity, 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago. Like, it's the Wild West, man. I know the other panelists here will agree with me. Like, it's so much fun to be in this space.
Yeah.
Because it changes day to day. It moves so quickly. It's getting bigger every single day.
So one thing I want to add to this, so just so the audience can be more familiar with me. So I wear many hats, you know what I'm saying? I'm a video game journalist. I'm also a hip hop artist. I make songs for the video games. I'm also a character in different video games. So if you ever play Watch Dogs 2, or if you ever play NBA 2K Playgrounds 1 and 2, or Twisted Metal and stuff like that, you could hear me in those games, pick me as a character, like all types of stuff like that. Also, I managed to take my love for gaming, because my love for gaming came from my grandma. My grandma taught me how to play video games when I was 4 years old, and now it's my career and it's our careers. It's crazy. So when it comes to the esports side of things, especially coming from hip hop and video games as well, we always have this competitive nature, and in competition there's business, and there's new creativity that creates business through the creatives. So what I want to inspire the audience to understand is that look for what you don't see as well, because what you don't see could be your opportunity to create a lane for yourself that becomes bigger for others. And that's exactly what I was, able to do for myself. So with esports, it's not just teams, but if you think about how it started, like what Kate was talking about, we had Donkey Kong, Tetris, all types of battles, single player esports, all types of stuff like that. So when you look at it today in 2020, you have brands, you got Meta Threads with the, with their jackets and jerseys and building businesses like that. You have like the actual arenas, like League of Legends and Louis Vuitton doing music collaborations together. Like, it's so many opportunities there. So the key thing I would tell you is when you look at this space, don't just think about what you already see. Think about what you can also add to it, because like what Anthony said, it's the Wild Wild West. It's so much stuff that's not there that you could bring to the table and be a creative in that space. So yes, I just wanted to make mention of that. So now I want to come back around to Kate. Kate, what would you say in terms of your experience with esports? Because it's ever changing, there's a lot of adjustments that may have to be made. So what's some of the things that you've gone through and that you've witnessed that you probably had to make adjustments on in order to continue to grow your craft and grow the people around you so you can survive in the space?
Well, I mean, to Anthony's point, it's one of the reasons why I love working in the game industry. And I think we'll talk a little bit later about how we got in the game industry. But, myself being a geographer of all things, if a geographer can find a way to be in this industry for 27 years, then,
Yeah.
To your point, as you just said, is that you basically, if you see a need, you create it. And that's exactly what I did at Microsoft many years ago. And here I'm still in the industry. And I think that's one of the core foundations, like Anthony said, which is one of the things I love about being in the game industry, is that it is ever evolving, because we are so technology dependent, and we are an art form and a technology that is constantly evolving. I mean, all it takes is for one new device to come out that's revolutionary, like the iPhone with a touch screen, which totally changed mobile gaming and basically created like a whole nother space for us. And of course, now people are dabbling with AR and VR and all that kind of stuff too, in esports as well. It's basically, we have always recognized as an industry that esports is a thing, but it wasn't a thing yet. But now to me what has made it a thing is that when you have major media outlets actually covering this and having esports tournaments airing on ESPN and stuff like that, it's like, okay, now I guess we finally made it, so to speak. And so how we respond to that, and that, again, that kind of, once we're in that position, we've had to adapt very quickly. And I know in my own work, it's not only dealing with people, because I tend to focus more on the industry side and on working with game creators and game developers. But we've seen already, like in the indie space, the independent game creator space, there has been a convergence between the creators and between their audience. Because like if you do a Kickstarter, as a lot of people don't understand, a Kickstarter is a marketing device. It's a community management, community building device more than it's a fundraising device. I mean, the fundraising happens too. But in esports, I think we're seeing that too, where it's kind of this huge convergence between the industry people, the people making the games, the people playing the games, and then all of the other marketing mechanisms and everything else that goes with that. And that convergence is really dynamic right now, like super dynamic. I mean, what are esports going to look like in 3 or 5 years from now? I don't know, honestly. I know they're going to be bigger than they are now, but I have any idea where it's going to fully go from here.
That's what makes it so exciting. You know what I'm saying? That's
Absolutely.
what I love about it. That's what I love about it. So,
Yeah.
Eleague, I want to now, because of your situation over at Brooklyn, you deal with a lot of people like in person. You know what I'm saying? Because you got the facility and stuff like that. One thing I love about gaming, especially when it comes to the esports, is how whether it's offline or online, it can happen. You know what I'm saying? So right now in your situation, how has esports or potentially grew your business, even though we in the pandemic that we're in? The reason why I feel like that question is important is because I want to prove to the audience that no matter what situation like the world is in, I've seen gaming survive every type of recession. Kate, facts, like real talk, Kate, like I've seen gaming survive all recessions because the subliminal message that gaming is that's different from music and movies is that music is passive entertainment. You listen to it, is great. Movies, watch it, is great. But gaming, you interact. You have a sense of control. And you also have a sense of being somebody that you're not, because a lot of times people, they go through personal things in their life. So that's like the therapeutic side. But Eleague, how has the esports side of things helped your business grow? And where do you see that in the coming near future?
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I think we've all seen it during the pandemic, just even the growth, like explosive growth of gaming with Animal Crossing. And, it kind of came at like the perfect time, kind of get everyone like out of their heads and onto their islands. I think it was such an amazing, like you said, like interactive kind of way for people to also connect. I think that's been the number one thing. And that's, again, kind of a lot of the heart of the esports is the community. I mean, you had people connecting with friends who they haven't talked to. Even me, I connected with people I haven't talked to in like a decade, just because of the pandemic and through gaming. People getting back into it, even if they never even left. It's just something like people were looking for that social connectivity. And so, yeah, we haven't actually opened our doors yet at all. But I think, you know, in the future when we can, it's that sense of community is still there. I think it's stronger than ever. And again, like you saw PlayStation increasing production, you saw Nintendo now increasing production, like gaming itself is just growing. And then the attention to esports, I mean, you've seen the metrics go up. I'm sure Anthony, you know, can even speak to those. Like you've seen explosive growth of just viewership. Cause it's, again, like, I mean, we saw even like ESPN and like eNASCAR and that whole league and the Formula One league and Rocket League, like you saw it just kind of transcend, you know, everyone was looking all of a sudden at esports as like the only thing. And it's, you know, incredibly sad with everything going on, and definitely tough, but in terms of esports, it shows that it can survive anything. You know, I didn't think people would expect gaming and esports to be like one of, in terms of like a career path as well, like there's a lot of viability here, just from people being able to work during this. I see, you know, esports orgs hiring, you know, we've done some online production and we're scaling that up as well. And so I think that's a major component, and it really cemented esports as, you know, something for the long haul.
Absolutely, man. And one thing personally I'm starting to see that I'm happy to see is that more brands and more people is starting to realize that you just can't throw money at the gaming industry if think it's going to work for you. If you ain't real with it or authentic with it, no matter how much money you got, you will catch yourself outside of that box. And a lot of people starting to adjust their ways to make sure they grow the business correctly so it can last long. That's one thing that I really appreciate for what I'm seeing. So Anthony, bro, major question for you right now, man. So when you look at esports and you look at Evil Geniuses, you spoke about earlier path to pro, path to this, path to that. So what's some things that Evil Geniuses is looking into, like specifically as an organization, to help people find their path to things aside from just being a gamer? But you may need people to design something. You may need people for internships, like you said earlier. Do you, as an organization with Evil Geniuses, put together some sort of like plan so that people could get involved, reach out to you, and help grow what Evil Geniuses is right now?
Yeah, 100%. You know, just to kind of touch on the internship component again, to provide some color on that, we have two different arms to our internship program here. We have what's called the Genius League, which is a collection of brand ambassadors. So that's more business facing and more on this, more in terms of marketing and community outreach and event planning and engagements. And then we have the other branch of that, which is the Ingenious Creators, which is more in terms of graphic design, video production, more on the creative side of the business. And our overall goal is that our internship program will be recognized as the industry equivalent at one point to that of an Amazon or a Microsoft or a Google, right? We want us to be recognized as that gold standard within the endemic side of the business for our people that come through our program, that either we convert full-time or not, they end up having a full-time job upon completion of our internship program and upon graduation.
Really?
100%.
Oh, okay.
That's the goal. That's the goal, man. Like, we want to be that gold standard. We want to be recognized as, you know, hey, you know, it's to say, like, listen, I grew up in the bar industry, right? So there's a handful of bars that I used to work at, and they saw that you worked at that bar, and they're like, oh, hell yeah, we're gonna hire that dude. Like, they are so well vetted and trained. They know everything about everything, right? You just have that sort of automatic credibility and appeal, right? Like, if you work at Amazon or Google or Microsoft, if you apply to a job, you automatically are a step in the right direction because of where you have worked in the past and what's on your resume, right? And we want to be that for this industry and market. And so in terms of providing more opportunity, it's, you know, it goes back to the original point of we have to provide more opportunity to the collegiate and youth markets and push it down the funnel and provide opportunity for students to be more aware of the opportunities that exist in the market, which is why we host networking nights and resume reviews. And we try to host a lot of professional development and career development for students that are looking for more insight and guidance into how do you break into this market? And I know that's another question we have coming up here in a bit as well. But
Yeah.
in terms of that, like that's a lot of our focus, and we're looking to expand our reach and connect and establish meaningful partnerships across the entire United States and all of North America, and provide more resources and more accessibility to our organization, to our industry, to our market, and help educating individuals on what opportunities lie ahead. Like Kate mentioned it, right? She said, who knows what's going to happen in the next 3 to 5 years in gaming, and none of us do. And I mentioned the other day, like, I swear, in my list of prayers every single night, one of them is that I will no longer have to field the question of what is esports. Right? And we had it today, and I love it. It's cool. Like, I get it, I respect it, but moving forward, for us to really tackle the challenges in this industry and market, for us to break down those barriers, we have to create more normalcy in talking about it, right? Like, I encourage colleges, and if you're a math teacher, a science teacher, I'm like, just give me one course, just one class of your whole semester that is gaming centric, just to talk about it, just to make it more public facing. And so that's kind of what we're doing in our end of the business, though. We're just looking to encourage and facilitate those conversations and provide that clarity and context as to the why behind all of this is going to happen and why it needs to happen.
Yo, I love that, man. And like, I'm with you 100,000% in terms of making gaming that much more of a standard across the board. That's something that people need to understand and learn, because so many people got a passion for it. And gone are those days where get off the game, it ain't gonna make nothing, like you ain't gonna make nothing with your life playing games all day. Nah, those days is over. So let's go. So yo, Kate, I'm coming to you. So now this part of the actual panel, like the discussion, I want to learn more about y'all come up, and also the advice that y'all will have for young students, people that's watching right now, with the experiences that y'all had and things that y'all gone through, in terms of being able to pass that off to help someone else. So Kate, let's get started. Kate. You know what I'm saying? How did you get started in this industry? We want to know everything. Let's go.
Wow. Where to start? Well, I'm going to try and make this a short story. So it did start with my love of games. I mean, I'm a gamer at heart. I mean, I'm one of the old people. So Pong was my first video game. I was like 7 years old when the Pong console appeared. And it was amazing. I mean, it changed the lives of myself and my friends. And ever since then, we were playing video games. And like I said, and when I was in high school, that was the golden age of the arcade era. And so that was just an amazing time, to be around. And of course, my older brother, he got a console. So we had a console in the house. It was in television. And but see, I love games, and I've always loved playing games, but I never really aspired to work in the industry. So I actually wanted to work for Lucasfilm and work on a Star Wars movie. That was my real aspiration. But after I did industrial design, I switched to geography and cartography because I love maps, I love travel, I love culture, all of that kind of stuff. And plus I could use my artistic skills for creating maps. So I went in that direction. And eventually, after I got my academic degrees, I ended up, I moved to Seattle. I'm from Southern California originally. And Microsoft contacted our geography department at the University of Washington and said, hey, we need a cartographer to work on Encarta Encyclopedia. And for those who don't know, Encarta was the precursor. It was basically the last major encyclopedia before Wikipedia showed up.
Yeah, facts.
Yeah, so I worked on Encarta and made the maps for Encarta. And while I was at Microsoft, I thought it was just going to be like a quick contract job, and then I would go back to grad school and whatever else I was going to do. But they kept asking me to stick around because they said, hey, there's skills you have that are helping us. And one of the things I noticed is that the company was having problems with dealing with different content issues and different products. And so I eventually ended up creating an internal team at Microsoft that I called Geopolitical Strategy. And so my job at Microsoft was to basically help the company avoid making political and cultural mistakes that would get them in really big trouble with different governments or with the public or whatever. And so that work also included all the games at Microsoft. So I started on back when there was the only game at Microsoft, which was Flight Sim. And then And then as they started making all their PC games, I worked on all of their PC stuff, like all the original Age of Empires and Asheron's Call and MechWarrior and all that stuff. And then when the Xbox project got started, then I ended up working on all of the properties for that. So Halo, Fable, Forza, all of those kinds of games. And so I left in 2005. When I left Microsoft after 13 years, I was like, this is what I want to do. Doing what I call culturalization work on video games is my absolute life calling. It brings together everything I love, my love of culture and technology and games and all of that. So I basically made up this job. And when I left the company in 2005, I became a consultant, and I've been doing the work ever since. So, I've worked on all the BioWare games of the last 18 years and a bunch of Ubisoft stuff and Call of Duty. And I'm actually, right before this call, was working on my batch of stuff for Age of Empires 4. So yeah, I love what I do. And I've also, just in my later years, got much more involved in the last decade in advocacy work in the industry, because I absolutely love the people I work with. All of the core creative people, whoever they are, the programmers, artists, designers, everybody. I love these people, and I see them get treated like crap at some companies because of work culture and other things. And so that's why I, took the role of running the International Game Developers Association to try and make a difference in the industry. And that's why I run the Global Game Jam event, which is the world's largest game creation event. So that's me. So that's basically where I come from. I'm a total geek in every way. Obviously, I'm sitting in the Millennium Falcon. I'm a huge cosplayer. Yeah. My daughter's a costume designer, so we cosplay at different cons all over the place. But as far as quick advice, I know I'm going on kind of long.
No, keep talking. Go.
Quick advice that I'll tell people. Number one is, if you can't program, or if you don't have artistic skill, or you don't feel you have those core creative skills that you need for game design, that doesn't mean you can't work in games at all. I mean, look at it. Like I said earlier, if a geographer can figure out a way to be in this industry, anybody can. You just have to be really creative about what you do really well. And, I would highly advise you get a mentor. So find someone who works in the game industry and basically listen to them, ask them questions, just kind of get a sense for what is it like to work in the industry. And if you want to figure out if you don't really know what you want to do in the game industry, but you feel like you want to go in that direction, I highly recommend getting involved in a game jam, whether it's like the Global Game Jam event in January, or whether there's many different game jam events that happen all over the place. Get involved with a game jam, because what that is you get brought together with a team of people, and over a course of, whether it's like 48 hours or a few days, you make a game together. And a lot of people who do the jams, it's the first time they've ever done anything related to game creation, but they get a taste for what it's like to make a game, and you can kind of figure out whether or not it's something that you really like. And also, really importantly, because games are a collaborative, created form of interactive art, in my opinion, you have to learn to work together. And so if you can't work together with other people and communicate well and all that, then you may have a challenge. So wow. Game jams are another great way to work together and just kind of see, does this feel right with who you are and what you want to do?
I'm gonna tell you right now, listen, everybody that's sitting at home watching this, everybody that's in the chat, everybody that's on this panel, on the count of 3, we're gonna clap it up for Kate, because she is legendary. That is fire. If I was in front of you, Kate, right now, everybody that know me, I'll like this, I'll be holding you right there. You don't understand. So on the count of 3, we gonna clap it up. 1, 2, 3. Hey, baby.
Thank you.
Burn up. Yo, Kate, I'm telling you right now, like, I know the LA Clippers just lost, and everybody thought Kawhi Leonard was gonna be the man, but LeBron James still the king. But if Kawhi knew how to work together with his team, like how you know how to work with your team, things probably be different right now. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No kidding.
I had to throw that out there. Yo, but Kate, that is wonderful. I'm not sure if you know it yet, but you just became my new best friend. I'm gonna have to bother you now. That is incredible.
Please do.
God bless you. Seriously, it is an honor to wow. So yo, stay right there, Kate. Now, next up, you know what I'm saying, my boy Alec. I need to know your come up story, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because you got a whole facility over there, and you out in Brooklyn, my hometown. So let people know, how did you get started in the industry, and how would you utilize your start to create advice for the young scholars and the young adults out there that's trying to break in as well?
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, I mean, my exposure, my love for esports started, I'd say, all the way back in middle school. Something kind of Kate mentioned before, like you'd see esports on TV, and even to this day, it's still something. There's an interesting parallel when you see esports and gaming mixed with pop culture. It still kind of like shocks you a little bit, even though for us, like, we all work in it, and it's something that we love to see. And but anyway, so getting exposed to MLG Halo, obviously just playing Halo from as early as I can remember, just with friends, family, etc. Seeing that, I think must have been like 2006, maybe like MLG Dallas or somewhere in that circuit, right? Seeing that and just seeing the sheer level of production and scale, and like even talking to some of those guys now who worked on that, it's incredible to see like what they were able to put together then. And also hearing some of those stories, right? Like they just did it. I think that was one of the most important things, right? They just went for it and like they learned. So that was, really cool to see. But so learning about esports then, having just nothing but like passion from then on out, being like, we have to be involved in this. We have to be involved in this. So started attending a lot more events during middle school and high school. During high school, actually, we caught a lot of my friends, right? We would get together after school. We'd, host like some small tournaments and this and that. We actually caught our history teacher calling out sick during the launch of StarCraft 2.
Clap it up for that. Hold on, you gotta clap it up for that, yo.
Yeah, he's absolute legend.
Wait, hold on, I gotta stop you. That's a rule. PlayStation 5 coming out later, Xbox Series X. So if you gotta go to work or whatever, no, that's a holiday. Like, remember, if you're a gamer, those are holidays. All right, you call out. All right, go ahead, Alex.
100%. E3 was a holiday for me. Every year, like I was always sick. Even my mom was like, "I know this is what you love, so like honestly, go for it." But E3 like was my holiday, and so we ended up catching him. Like, this is just kind of a side story. So we ended up catching him. He called out for a week, and then we were talking about StarCraft the following week, and he ended up overhearing it. And so we started talking about it, and we were like, can we have students come and game in here? And like, and so that kind of became a thing. We did like a small club out of there. We started doing some small tournaments. And then fast forward to college, we ended up working with we helped the school kind of facilitate the game room there. We ran an entrepreneurship club, and we actually funded our entire entrepreneurship club through hosting Smash tournaments in the student center. And so the school did not understand at that time. And they were not understanding why we were having these like crowds of people come around and wait to just come play Smash and come play Mario Kart. So that was one of the coolest things to ever see, just how, kind of anyone off the street from the school can just come in and like hop in, people meeting new friends and just having that kind of sense of community. Now my school is actually going back, and Anthony, I'm gonna have to talk to you about this later, but they want to build a whole facility. They're looking for a director, they're looking for this, and they're like, look, we get it. We 100% get it. And like, we're committed to it. We see the education opportunities. We see, the scale of like competition and kind of how we can facilitate that like on the East Coast. So to me, that's all I ever wanted, right? And I was like, wow. Embrace it. And like, again, what Anthony said before is kind of acknowledge it, and like just being able to educate. And once we don't have to explain esports anymore, right? And so from there, we started a company in college. It was all about building tools for creators. So that spanned everything from, YouTubers, Twitch streamers, etc. We basically wanted to make everything as easy as possible for them just to focus on creating. So we focused on tools that were like their biggest pain points. So we focused on scheduling, super flashpoint, like snapshot analytics that they can just send to their teams. Don't have to worry about that, right? Worry about creating. We'll help you make tools to worry about everything else. Worked on that for about 4 years out of school. We grew the company a bit. And then I was in a meeting with an agency that was looking to work and develop tools internally for an esports team, an esports org. Long story short, I ended up getting lunch with one of the guys from the agency after, and he was like, hey, a good friend of mine is actually looking to build a facility. And so that was always a dream of mine. Like, he didn't know that, but I mean, I have 27 pages of docs from throughout the years, just right. I mean, just having some place that's a home for people to come, mix of LAN center, mix of, competitive space, mix of, lounge and arena. And so we got to talking and they were like, look, we know the space. We've seen it grown. Like, we love it. We just have to find the right team to do it. So then we started, recruiting, small team to start to build this out. And again, I guess coming back to the whole like hiring aspect is like, we do want to hire from like local, right? Like, we've tried to like shop local completely in terms of like building out the space as much as possible. Just something to like, we've been like talking with the community board just to kind of see how we can help facilitate like any educational programs and things like that. But I think the biggest advice I could just give in general for, getting into this industry or any others is reach out to people and like put yourself out there. You will, I think I always tell students and anyone else this, like, you'll be amazed at just what a 3-sentence email or DM, like anything you can do just to say like, hey, I really respect and love your work. I was just wondering if I can like pick your brain for 5 or 10 minutes, buy you a coffee, something like that. Yeah, there it is. It's, I think that's one of the most important things. And then just, you'd be surprised as well at what you can do on your own, right? To build, practice for yourself, just education. There are so many resources out there to learn, production, learn OBS, learn this and that, with or without school. I mean, school is an incredible resource, but so much of what you will learn is just by doing. So, if you want to learn about gaming content creation, even if you're not creating yourself, like, learn the tools, help someone else, reach out to creators, even like being moderators in chats and stuff like that, and then seeing how you can help. There's a ton of different ways to get involved. And I think reaching out and just putting yourself out there is probably one of the most important.
Yo, I love it, man. Yo, y'all incredible. You know that, right? Like y'all are incredible. Like, for real, this is fire. So
we got to hear you next.
You know what I'm saying? So like, Ant, I'm gonna bring it on to you. Then after that, I know we're gonna have our Borough Hall president, pop in real soon. So Ant, I'm gonna bring it over to you, and then I'll go after he makes his intro. But Ant, man, talk to him, man. Let him know how you got started in this industry and how you're gonna utilize that as advice for other up and coming people that's inspired to do what we do.
Yeah, 100%. And two things before we kind of get that though. Alec mentioned the fact that you don't need, that higher ed degree. You can do it on your own, right? Don't short sell yourself. Don't undervalue your own abilities. And I think that, coupled with Kate's advice about how important a mentorship is, those two things are very complementary of one another, right? Like, yes, do it on your own, but there are resources in the space such as mentors that you can find that will save you sometimes a lot of time, effort, and sometimes money. You know what I mean? Like, they probably made the mistakes that you're about to make yourself. So 100% connect with those individuals. But about me, I've kind of positioned myself as an engineered trifecta, if you will, within this space, which is traditional sports space, meeting the gaming world, combined with corporate and business acumen and experience. And I grew up in a very traditional sports household. If any of you are football fans, my dad was a quarterback at Boston College before Doug Flutie. He was the guy right before Flutie. So whenever I want to make him upset, I just reference Flutie. But and so I was coming home though. I was a 3-sport athlete. I was coming home from football at 7. And, I was playing Warcraft 3 and Dota. And then at 11, I was coming home from baseball and I was playing World of Warcraft. And then at 14, coming home from hockey practice and playing League of Legends. And unfortunately, League of Legends sunk its talons into me, and I haven't broken free since. But and so I kind of missed my window though in terms of playing competitively. Like, I had some opportunities to go play collegiately within the gaming space, but I was already so dialed into hockey that there was no way I could go back, look at my family and tell them, hey, I know we just spent all this time, money, and effort here, but I'm going to go 180. I'm going back this way. I'm going to go do some gaming. And I eventually started doing some awesome mentoring work within hockey and helping students between 14 and 20 get placed at colleges and junior programs and procure scholarships and a lot of cool stuff. But when I was going through my undergrad, I started working back in the esports and gaming space again. And I started doing program development once again at that high school level, and started procuring sponsorships there and establishing pipelines and hosting events. And then I was like, this is really cool. I like doing this. What's next? And then I got into the corporate world where I was doing, like I said, high level IT recruiting and placing software developers and engineers at like Amazon and Microsoft and companies like that, which is very corporate, very boring. We won't dive into that. And then I got back in the collegiate space though for gaming, and I started doing program development, building arenas and organizations from the ground up on different strategic models that were specific to their campus or to their culture and their community, right? Because it's not a one size fits all in this space. You have to be willing to acknowledge that each campus is a little bit different and each community and culture is going to shift a little bit. And that led me kind of to the point that I'm at though with EG right now. So I'm somebody who's the first to acknowledge that yes, there are parallels between traditional sports and the gaming market, but I'm also the first to then acknowledge thereafter that there are almost an infinite number of parallels that don't exist between the two. Right. And people like to try to jam them up into one, like, you know, just not to go down the rabbit hole on it too much, but when we're talking like collegiate gaming and high school from an infrastructure level, people will often assume that if you're a director of esports, then you are the parallel to like a hockey coach or a football coach, right? And it's not the case. So now you have one person running 4, 5, 6 titles for 60, 70 kids. Like, you know, Alex, I'm not sure what sports you grew up in. Like that'd be like you coaching 4 sports and being responsible for getting all those students recruited and embedded within. Like it's brutal. It's a tough undertaking. So there's a lot of disconnects there too. And so I've leveraged my experience from both sides of those markets, and I've done a pretty good job of being the conduit between the two. And kind of how I got my pull back within that industry though is, if you're familiar with Walter Bond, he's got a great motivational video and speech where he talks about impact players carving out a niche within the market. They make their communities better, they make their cities better, they make their surroundings better. And that's what it was for me. I carved out a niche. Like I am high level training, development, and growth at the core of my being. And that space specifically, that acknowledgement of we need to stop trying to deal everything within this market and industry off the top of the deck. And we need to go 6 layers deeper and get to them when they are younger. And we don't need to quit talking seniors only, seniors this, seniors that. Like, no, let's go deep, right? Let's go way under those layers. Let's start to dig it up. And once again, let's start to have conversations surrounding normalcy and how we normalize this space. And that's what I did though. I found my path. I found what I was interested in and what I did exceptionally well. And I just consistently leveraged that ability and made those connections. To Alex's point and Kate's point, you make those connections, you find and seek out the information that you need to become better. And before I drop my last little bit of advice here, if you're once again football parallel, but Pete Carroll, coach of the Seahawks, he's got a great book called How to Win Forever, I think, or Win Forever. And he talks about if you don't know your personal culture, right? If at the core of who you are, if you cannot put on paper who you are and what you want to do and set out to accomplish, if that shifts year to year, you will neither be effective nor efficient in getting to those goals. Right? And so for me, I mapped it out. I put it on paper. I quit comparing myself to other people. I just focused on me. I focused on what I wanted to do, what I needed to do. And then I tracked down my antecedents. I said, all right, here's where I want to go. Here's what I want to do. How do I get there? Right. And mapped it out. And that's my advice to people though, right? It's, you can't be reactive. I mentioned earlier, like my job didn't exist 3 months ago, 6 months ago. Like it moves so quickly that if you're reactive with how you approach things, if you're trying to do everything a little bit instead of dialing yourself into certain components that you excel within, you're going to miss out on a lot of opportunities. They'll be over and shut and closed before you even have a chance to be in the mix. And so I implore students, I say, listen, like just really figure out who you are, what you want to do, what is your personal identity and culture, map out that roadmap for yourself, make those connections and be proactive, right? Have informational interviews, go out and seek out that information and that expertise and get your foot in the door with these companies, these individuals, people like myself, Alec, Kate, yourself, right? Make those connections and once again, just, I can't stress enough, like, just please be proactive with it. Like, if you're a software developer, there might be 100 jobs open right now that fit your skill set within the esports and gaming market. Maybe there's 2, and those open up far less often than the 100 will cyclically for that other industry and market.
Jump up in that, Kate.
Just one quick thing to build on what Anthony said, which I think is super important, and that's why I just wanted to highlight and basically plus one what he said about comparing yourself to others. One of the quotes I love to tell people that I mentor is what Mark Twain once wrote, where he said, "Comparison is the death of joy." So if you let that sink in, comparison is the death of joy. And if you think about that, I mean, so many people I meet, I'm on the board of 2 mental health charities, TakeThis.org and Safe in Our World, that both focus on mental health in the game industry. And I can tell you right now that one of the biggest problems we see with people both on the player side and on the development side is people who spend too much time comparing themselves to what others are doing. So just, exactly what Anthony said, just focus on what you want to do and what you can do well, and just keep your head down, focus on that, and have your mentors and everything else to build you up in that, and don't worry about what everyone else is doing. And unfortunately, social media is optimized to make you compare yourself to other people. So if you have to, just, ignore social media for a while.
Absolutely. So
can't retweet
look,
that enough.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So look, at this time, I just want to make sure we good. You know what I'm saying? But at this time, we should be having Eric Adams, our Borough Hall president, pop in. So are we ready for him? Like, let me know. Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, because this conversation is so good. We keep going until he ready to pop in. So I'm gonna do a 5-second countdown. All right. So y'all let me know. And if not, we're gonna keep going because the flow is too good. So in 5. Oh wait, I think somebody's coming in. That will be good. Let me know. Because we on a roll right here. It's too good to be stopping. So I'm just keeping it real. All right, you hear Neville? Okay, is Eric Adams ready to come in so we can speak with him and get him to answer some questions?
We have a few moments. Hold on one.
Okay, so that sounded like he was like walking down the street in Times Square or something. There was like a horn in the background. That's what it sounded like. All right, so you posted a couple questions. We ain't ready for Q&A just yet. I mean, the Q&A we ready for is with Eric Adams. Then we're gonna have another Q&A, later with the other legendary panelists that we have up here and stuff. So yeah, we gotta make sure this is right. So even though he said waiting to be let in, Eric Adams, okay, he's waiting to be let in. So can someone please let Eric in so we could get him to speak, so everybody can see, the superstar of the evening, like, you know what I'm saying, the Borough Hall president. Let's go. But in the meantime, till he comes in, I got a very important question for all y'all. That is a real simple, like quick fire question. PlayStation 5 or Xbox? What you going with, Kate?
Well, because I'm a Microsoft alumni and I can get games and accessories at a discount, it's going to be Xbox for me. Plus, I just like the controller better. Sorry.
All right, okay. Eric is here. He is here. That's what I'm talking about. Eric, please unmute yourself so we could get you to answer some questions. So first off, everybody, that time is here. One love and God bless our very own Brooklyn Borough Hall President, Eric Adams. How you feel, man?
You know what? I'm going to my mother's house in my room upstairs, and I'm getting my gold chain that I had like yours.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, Eric, my uncle said to tell you hi. My Uncle Billy, Timothy Pearson.
Oh, man.
That's my uncle.
He's a legend, brother.
Yeah, man. So we all family, man. So listen, I know the audience got a couple of questions, but before we get to that, I had one question for you myself. You talked about in your intro video, you talked about the importance of gaming and realizing the impact that it's having on the kids and everything like that. So in your role, just being a leader, period, what's some of the things that you are looking to do or learn more about gaming that you feel could be helpful to the community?
We want to not only be the consumers, but actually be part of the designing of the games, building out the sales, having the industry give back in a real way. And we need to start with the level of our young people back in elementary schools that are really playing the game. we could start shaping their minds on how to be part of the entire industry and institution of gaming. It's so powerful. When you look at the games, I go back and forth to China a lot, probably 6 or 7 times, and you look at how esports is really taking over sports. And think about this for a moment. Our young people are comfortable with games. Why aren't we thinking about, as we are talking about schools are not safe to open, why aren't we using avatars and other ways of gaming to not only learn educationally, but also to be a force for the reform we're calling for? How about not using gaming to talk about how do we bridge the gap of communications? You know, we live in these silos. So how about having competition where my Chinese community is playing with my African American, my Mexican community, my Jewish community? I think we're in a good place with gaming. We can tear down those traditional walls that prevented us from cross-pollinating cultures and ideas. We need to go beyond where the gaming is now. There's some great opportunities, and I'm excited about what you're doing here because we're opening a new conversation to gaming, not just playing the game.
That's what I'm talking about, man. So I'm gonna tell you this. Everybody that's in the chat right now, whatever question you have for Eric Adams right now, please post it in the chat. Next up, Kate, I gotta throw it to you. Eric, one of the things that Kate spoke about earlier that was so powerful is her passion for culture and making sure that people are treated fairly so growth can actually take place properly and stuff. Kate, please, whatever question you may have for Eric, please ask him.
Yeah, well, it's great to meet you, by the way, and thank you for supporting this. This is just fantastic. So, I mean, in my capacity in the advocacy side of the things I've been doing, I've talked to a lot of government officials around the world, including I was in Tehran 2 years ago. And one of the things I just love, and just to kind of echo what you said, is just that the realization I think that's happening, and I don't know if I have a question other than a confirmation of what you were saying, and you could, confirm that or not. What I'm seeing among a lot of government officials are they're realizing that gaming is not only a viable industry, which they want to have in their jurisdiction because it has good paying jobs and all that, but it's also just, it's this creative mechanism that brings so many different art forms together, brings technology and art and media and all these things together. And I don't know, is that kind of how you see it as well?
Yes, without a doubt. And, Kate, you're dead on because let's be clear, not every young person is going to be able to travel to some distant shores or distant place, but exposure really allows you to think beyond your geographical area. So if we start using gaming to expose young people to what is out there, we will remove them from that anti-Christopher Columbus theory that if you leave your block, you're going to fall off the planet. Our young people need to see the possibilities and the potentiality of, hey, what is it like to communicate and play with a gamer in another land somewhere? Because if I'm gaming with you and you are in India, then we're going to develop that relationship. And now I'm thinking about this place called India. I'm going to start thinking differently. Many of our young people are unable to think differently because we localize not only where they stay, but we localize their minds and we're localizing their possibilities so they never become their full potential of who they could become. This is an amazing opportunity to use gaming as in the Karate Kid moment where he thought he was just washing the car, but he was learning karate moves. Gaming can have people think they're just playing a game, but they're shaping their minds to think beyond the boundaries that they've been historically limited to.
Amazing, yo. And I'm gonna tell you one thing to capitalize on what you just said, and I'm gonna get this question from Marla Abarca because she has a question in the chat. My grandmother, like I said before, she taught me how to play video games when I was 4. And when I went to LA for the first time to E3, my very first E3 was in 2008. When I went out there, now I grew up in Brooklyn, East New York, right? And when I went to LA for the first time and seen so many different things, was around so many people that I looked up to and admired, it changed everything. Like it
right.
Like that switch flicked on simply because I got out of my normal hood. You know what I mean? And let me know that I can have more and be more just by being out there. And that right there is so true, Eric. I agree with you wholeheartedly. So this question comes from Marla Abarca. she represents the outreach program for Guns Down, Life Up youth programs, and
Yes.
and her question is pretty much how games can be utilized to help lower the crime rate and all the stuff that's going on. So I guess what how I could articulate what she's trying to ask you, Eric.
Now I feel what she's saying, because it's powerful. You know, because you can you can settle beef not with bullets, but with games. You know, you can settle so much. You see now where people are turning to guns instead of games. And many of the gamers, people who play games, will play games and then they get into beef and they hit the streets and they pick up a gun. So there's another way to settle a beef. There's another way of teaching young people to design a game, to participate in gaming. The brilliant minds of our young brothers and sisters who are caught up in the violence right now because we're not giving anyone opportunities. When I walk the streets at night, because I'm out in the street late at night and I walk and I stop and I talk to our young people, they say, listen, I'm not in school, I don't have a job, I sleep all day, I hang out here at night, I drink some Hennessy, next thing you know, the crew is having some problems. But if we give real opportunities in the gaming industry, the multi-billion-dollar industry of gaming must be a part of how do we deal with some of the inner city issues and some of the inner city problems, because it's a win-win, because you don't want to lose your constituency who's buying your games, who's using your games. You want to keep them as productive as possible. So I think, yes, and that's a great organization, by the way, where they deal with the real issues of violence. And I'm all in that gaming is a great way to deal with some of the violence that we're seeing.
That's amazing. And you know, it's so funny, like the questions is coming in the chat. Someone said that they literally have the game that you was just like referring to. They literally have that game and was trying to figure out what's the best way to get a hold of you to be able to potentially demonstrate that game to you, to be able to use it as a tool to help to what you're saying. So like, is there whether it's an email or your assistant, but what would be the best way
you know what?
to get a hold of you?
I would put my my cell to get it, but you know, then I have all sorts of shorties texting me and calling me, and I don't want that to happen.
You know what I'm saying? You're a ladies' man. I know you don't want nobody to bother you. You know what I'm saying? I
get it. But they can shoot me an email to bpericadams@gmail. Boy Peter Eric Adams @gmail, and that comes right to my hip. I will get right back to them and connect them with the team so that we can do that. I love that concept and idea so that we can make that happen. And thank them for sharing that with me. Let's do that.
Absolutely. And listen, my email is hiphopgamer@hiphopgamer.net. You know what I'm saying? So like, there's just more options to be able to reach us, because what you're doing is amazing. And if the opportunity is there, then we need to make it happen. I know Anthony and Alec may have questions for you too. And you know, I know I got you to about 7:15, I believe. So I got a couple more minutes with you. So Tamika Red Infamy Moultrie, that's my girl, by the way. You know what I'm saying? That's my baby right there. I love you, girl. I just had to throw that out there. But Red Infamy, she had a question as well. She said, what help is needed to get gaming into the STEM curriculum for NYC education systems to provide to provide the opportunities and representation for our underrepresented youth? There you go. What's your thoughts on that?
That's strong. First of all, we're using an antiquated model to educate. You know, we still use the rote learning system. We are not using technology that we've learned on, even how the human brain operates. We are not matching our educational system to it. Like, think about this for a moment. 80% of our brain develops in the first 1,000 days of life. 80%. And we can empower parents so that they can participate in the development, the neuron growth of a child's brain by using the gaming system, by using real state-of-the-art models. We still use antiquated methods. And even when you take the 2 months off during the summer, you don't have to be in the classroom to still get instruction and learning. If you have a real gaming program over the summer where young people are using the games to also be part of the development of their brain, learning how to improve on their cognitive abilities. We need to infuse how to make games, how to really have it part of the STEAM program. Then young people won't stop learning when they leave the classroom. They'll be extending learning because they're doing it in the methods that they're used to, that they enjoy, and that they're encouraged to do. That's the focus. And so she's dead on. We need to have a real gaming program in the STEAM program in our schools.
We got so much more other stuff to talk about. This is so crazy. I'm very excited. So, Alec, I'm gonna bring it over to you. So, Alec, he has a facility out in Brooklyn called Brookland. You know what I'm saying? Like the Land Systems, Brookland. So, Alec, man, please, man, whatever question you got, for the one and only Eric Adams, please drop it on him right now.
I mean, Mr. Adams, I think you covered more than everything. I think a lot, of what I've talked about with the community board here in Bushwick is so much of what you've touched on, from bringing in STEM programs and bringing in just the education where it's a different way of learning, right? It's ways that, kids understand. It's the way that even like adults understand. And I think it's something that, to really bring and to keep everyone excited about learning, pushing STEM, pushing computer science, pushing all of these other facets. I was saying earlier, bringing in people, from the community in a ton of different roles, from production to content creation to the tech side to the STEM. So, thank you, for keeping everything very progressive and forward thinking here. Don't really have any questions, but I'll toss it up to Anthony.
Yeah, and I want to learn more about Brookland, and so please send me over information. I would love to come by, take a visit, see what you're doing, and how do we scale it up.
We would love that. Absolutely.
That's what I'm talking about here.
Absolutely.
So Eric, Anthony. So he's with Evil Geniuses. Evil Geniuses is one of the most important, prolific esport organizations in the gaming industry. You know what I'm saying? And I'm telling you right now, like, Anthony, it's your shot. It's your time, bro. Yo, whatever question you got, talk to my boy E. Let's go.
No, and I appreciate it. Once again, like, what's it going to take for me to get you to just pick up the phone for me every morning and talk to me, man? Because, like, you will get me out of bed and it's so excited to just get after my day, man. Like, damn. But no, Eric, I really appreciate your time and all that you're doing within your community and all the work that you're putting out. And so the question, though, it's nothing about me, really, right? It's all about you. It's about you, your team, your community. So with what you know about the space, about the industry, with how I just got led in, how my company Evil Geniuses was just segued in here, how can a company that exists in the top professional point of the esports organization, the gaming industry, help you? How can we help you and your community? How can we help accelerate your agenda, your initiatives? How can we make this more streamlined for you?
I love that. And I appreciate you for that. Number one, we need to do more of these. And Borough Hall, as soon as we open back up, we should do, the building is yours to use. We should be doing every weekly or every 2 weeks, gaming industry, educating our young people on gaming, having game competition. I am meeting with a group of gang members next week. I'm sitting down with them, and I'm going to talk about this. So we should open Borough Hall. A lot of those young people have never been in Borough Hall before. They think it's a building that they only could walk past. But if we lure them in by having instructions about the entire picture of gaming, they will first start getting empowered. So I would love to partner with all of you, Brookland, your organization, all of you, to start letting our young people know the power within the gaming industry. And I open up the building to you to do so. And then we can take the show on the road, go into the NYCHA developments in South Jamaica, Queens, 40 projects, Brownsville, South Bronx.
Go.
We take it on the road because young people are ready. And they have always blown the winds of change. And I think through gaming, we're going to give them the opportunity to take a deep breath and flow this globe in the direction that they want it to go into. And so you are onto something. Trust me. I know when someone is in the right direction, there's an entire movement in gaming. Do gaming of showing them how the power of running an election, the power of running for office, the power of understanding their community, the community boards, all those things you're talking about. There's a hidden weapon that's inside gaming that will really empower people and young people who play you all day. My son at least spend 7-8 hours, doing his gaming all the time, all day. Let's now utilize those opportunities for empowerment and not just entertainment.
That's what I'm talking about. So look, I know we at that point. It's almost 7:15. The last thing that I would say, and I think this would be a great way to close it out with you, Eric, is there any other person in the political world that you would love to battle in a game? Talk to me, bro. And like Evil Geniuses could set it up. You could be on Team Evil Genius or something like that. We get another squad or whatever. But I think it'd be dope if we had like some people from the gang units, people from the cops, like love you, and put all of us together from different walks of life on the same team against another crew on the same walks of life as different teams, and we battle each other. What game though, E? What game you want to battle somebody in? And if there's somebody that you want to call out right now, call them out, yo. Let's go.
You know what? Since I can't compete against Trump because he won't come. I'll compete against the president of the Mullins, the president of the SBA.
Oh, word! Oh, he got called out. Let's go, Mo. Let's go, baby. Brooklyn over here. Let's go.
I'm going to call him and say, listen, let's go one-on-one.
Yo, that'd be fun.
You can come compete here anytime.
Yeah,
doors open. Doors open. Let's go.
Yo, this has been great. Yo, so E, one love and God bless. Thank you so much and take care, man.
Thank you.
Wow. Thank you very much.
That was crazy. That was amazing. So look, before we continue on, everybody that's in the chat, for those that's still here, please type in the chat. Are you enjoying this? Is this good? Is this helpful? Anything that we can do better? Whatever it is, we're here for y'all. So please in the chat. Y'all love it? Let's talk. Let's build. I don't do anything just for show. Like, I'm about that life. Let's go. I want to help. Like, let's go. So if y'all enjoy yourselves, please let us know. On that note, I want to give a big shout out to Kid Enlightenment. I want to give a big shout out to Leaders Are Born. I want to give a big shout out to United Eleague Federation. Much love. And now let's keep the show going. So before we get into our next part with the audience Q&A, I wanted to speak briefly on my start, because I didn't get a chance to share that with y'all. So my start, my grandmother, like I said, again, she taught me how to play video games when I was 4, but she didn't just teach me how to play video games, like video games so I could get out of her hair or something. She taught me about life through video games. So with video games, you got different objectives, you got different levels, and you got challenges that you got to complete. So she made me understand life by the way I had a passion for games, that in life, you got objectives, you got challenges, and you got levels, and you got to achieve things, you got to accomplish, you got to be able to beat them. So once I had an understanding from a very young age about the impact of gaming beyond just playing them, I knew that this was a calling for me. So in 2008, a gentleman by the name of Torrance Davis, he discovered the videos that I was making. I just started making videos. My videos didn't look good at all, but what I had to say was powerful and my passion was evident. So that got me to LA when I went to E3 for the first time. When I went to E3, I met so many people, Michael Pachter, Aaron Greenberg, these major executives, Hideo Kojima, you know what I'm saying, the creator of Metal Gear Solid. And I got a chance to interview and be around these people. And then when I got back, I was just blown away by the experience. And I just kept going, kept getting better and kept getting better. So that was like my start. That's how I started, literally. I just kept going. And I didn't care about what other people thought. Because if you look at me and you look at everybody else in the game industry that's a game journalist, obviously there's a big difference in terms of the way we do what we do. But I had no fear. I did my thing. And I brought people to me and my passion. So that's the first thing. Then the second thing in terms of the advice that I will give to y'all, I'm telling you right now, I think this is the realest thing I could tell you. There's a quote that I have, and it's called, "Character is your currency." I'll say it again. Character is your currency. My main job, the way I looked at it was I wanted to make sure that whatever I did can impact and help somebody else. No matter what I love, what my passion was, whatever it is, I made sure that whatever I did can inspire, impact, and help other people. because when you have growth in something that you care about, you can't do it by yourself. You understand what I'm saying? So I'll give you an example right now. Kate is doing amazing things. Look at her track record. Look at what she's done and stuff like that. I want to build that relationship immediately to see, hey, what do you need? What can I do? Let's grow. Because at the end of the day, it's going to help somebody else. The bigger we get, will be an inspiration for others to come in. You know what I'm saying? Anthony, Evil Geniuses, I'm making my claim right now. Like, I want in. I don't care, like, how can we make it happen? You got to be fearless with what you're passionate about. And you can't have any doubts about what you're trying to achieve. I'm from Brooklyn. We got Brooklyn right there. You already know I'm involved. Period.
Okay,
I'm not
yeah.
playing. You understand? So the biggest advice I can tell you is be fearless in what you want. Care about others so you can make an impact for growth within all. And make sure whatever you create, whatever